Hi everybody, welcome to today's session. It's Ollie again this week, and I'll be covering the Prima housekeeping on the daily business procedure. If you've got any questions whilst I'm going through any of this, if you pop on the live chat, Steve's there to answer any questions, or save them for the end of the session and we'll hang around for a bit and answer any questions too. So if I just log into Prima. So today we're going to start in the dashboard. So the dashboard ties in with housekeeping because you can see all your basic figures around the system rather than having to go into each module to gather those figures. So for example, you can see there top left, outstanding sales quotes, outstanding sales orders, requested items, etc. So basically the reasoning behind the dashboard is a quick glance at figures so you can keep a track of what's going on in the system. So if you've not got your dashboard set up already, you've got the organised tiles in the bottom left. So just click on that. So within here you've got all your options. So we've got all set up the customer returns, supplier returns and receipt notes, etc. You can see some more at the bottom there like emails and imported orders, active logs. So to set one of those up, it's just a case of clicking on the organised tiles, clicking on the description to highlight the line, giving it a priority order. So 1 is the one that shows at the top left, 2 is the next along, etc. And then that's the tick boxes to show it in the dashboard, and also if you wanted to show regardless of whether there's none available as outstanding as well. So that's something we advise as a maintenance kind of way in the system to make sure that you're keeping a track of everything as well. So once you've made all your changes to the dashboard configuration, mark your priority orders, just save and close, and then that's updated then. Okay, so I mentioned briefly we're going to cover the daily business procedure. So throughout the system you're putting sales orders on, you're linking it through with requirements and purchasing. So just basically how to keep a track of everything and making sure it's tidy. There's no lines and requirements that shouldn't be there, and outstanding quotes have expired that you can tidy up on the system as well. So what you can do, you can click in the tiles, or you can click into the module. So SOP and quotes we'll start off with. Okay, so change your status to be outstanding. Hit the search. So you've got your list of outstanding quotes there now. So you can see in the records we've got 22 outstanding, but not necessarily these are all required. So you can see there already there's a few created in 2015. There's a few ways to sort it. You can sort on quote number, creation date, etc. But if you scroll across to the right, you've got an expiry date. So within the quote, if you create a quote, I think it's a 30-day expiry date. So that quote is then available 30 days, but it stays in the system as outstanding. So it doesn't actually delete until you physically go in there and remove that as well. So if you just change the expiry date and sort by, so you can see there's all the earliest ones in the grid. So for example, this quote is no longer relevant. Double click into the quote, you can see all the lines on the quote if you want to re-quote the customer, but if it's from a year ago, probably not. And then you can go to the archive button at the top there and then remove that quote from your list. So it's just a case of going into your outstanding quotes, finding any quotes that aren't eligible or you don't want to go forward with, and then you can just archive them off the system. Then you refresh your grid and you've got 22 in the list, 21 in the list, sorry. So that's a way to tidy up your quotes. What you can do as well, sort by quote number. You can see your most recent. Sorry. You can go into there and progress them through to sales orders if needs be as well. So just making sure your quotes, you can have multiple quotes, it depends on your business, but just keeping it as tidy as possible. If you did archive a quote by accident, you can go to the status to search for them as well and reinstate them. So if you do make any mistakes, you can copy the quote again and raise a new one. Okay, so if we go into SOP and orders next. Already outstanding, so you search for your orders. Again, you can search on creation date, and you can see there's some from May that haven't been progress through the system. So again, if they're outstanding, you can double click into the sales order, check your lines on there, check if you want to progress them through the system, so you'd authorise and push them onto your requirements. If not, go into there and then again archive your quotes as well, your orders, sorry. So it's just a way of tidying up your sales orders and your sales quotes as well, just by going in, searching for outstanding, making sure everything's neat and tidy. So something else to check in sales orders too, you can check for confirmed statuses as well. So some customers use the confirmed statuses. It's just basically a dummy status for outstanding as well. So outstanding and confirmed are pretty much do the same thing in Prima. So it doesn't actually progress it through to purchasing or allocating from stock. It just simply confirms it on the system. So it's just a status for reference really. So if we search now for all confirmed, and then you can see there's some confirmed orders. They may need authorising, they may need deleting. So either way, you just click into your order, and you've got the two options there, authorise or archive in the top right. And then whatever way it is, you can archive it, for example. Don't need that, and then that'll update the order then in that case. Okay, next up is requirements. So you come to your requirements list, search for a status of requested. You can also hit a source, but we'll cover that in a second. And then you search for your items. So there's a rule behind the colours. If the colour is yellow, it's past its required date. If it's still in white, then it will be within its next day. So if you right click on the grid, you can actually change those colours as well. So you go to grid colours, and then you can see there if they're missed, so that's past the required date, text colour and everything. And if they're urgent, they're still within the date period to be purchased. What you can do as well, if we scroll to the right, you've got a reference type as well. So whether it's come from sales, whether it's come from returns, it's a replacement item, whether it's a stock requisition, all within this reference type here, you can find exactly what you need to remove off the list or progress through the system as well. So you can hit that through the source as well. But say for example it's a sales line, don't need this anymore. You can then open up the requirement, hit on the links tab at the top to link through to the sales order, go into the sales order and remove that off if it's no longer required. So to do that, just double click on the sales order and then just hit the delete icon and then remove that off the order then. So let's remove that. Okay, so for stock requirements, it'd be a case of coming into requirements, finding the stock one, double clicking into it, and then just merely clicking the delete icon at the top there. So that's a way to tidy up the requirements list as well. There's also a new feature within requirements too. So right at the very end, you can drag and drop your columns as well if you wanted it at the front. But there's a new one called EDI count. So if, say for example, you're constantly putting this line onto a purchase order, it keeps getting rejected by the supplier. This new EDI count is going to tell you now how many times it's gone through purchasing and then bounced back into requirements. So say for example this top line here, tried purchasing it with the supplier twice and it's come back into requirements twice. You'd see there a number 2 against the EDI count. So that's pretty much it for the requirements. So if I just show you another one again, so go into the requirement, you don't actually have to drag all the way across the columns. You can check within the requirement as well. So it's saying request from sales, so I know it's come from a sales order, and then I can go into the sales order through the links and then delete it that way as well. Okay, so next stop, purchase orders. So usually with the purchase orders it'll be pretty tidy anyway, so it's not going to be likely that you've purchased them from requirements and there's still an outstanding order on the system, unless you've perhaps put through a manual order and you forgot to check at the end of the day or something. But usually users are constantly coming into the purchase order screen and keeping that tidy. So if you just search on our test database, you can see a full list of purchase orders outstanding. So say for example we no longer need the spices orders at the top, double click into the order, click the archive button, and then that's that order then deleted off the system. But what you've got to note with the purchase orders, when you delete the lines now off this purchase order, that's then going to fall into your requirements list, and then that's a way you need to tidy up your requirements as well. So say for example it's an outstanding purchase order, you've deleted it off the order, you then need to go to your requirements to delete it off your sales order or something as well. So you wouldn't actually need to go directly to the requirements list, you can go to the sales order as well. So to do that, so say for example we just clicked archive, then we can double click on the line, go to the links, and then to the product record and get some information on that as well. So that's just a quick way to delete the purchase orders. So next one, available lines of receipts. So back orders, any orders that you've put through purchasing that you've not ticked to automatically create your receipt note, you'd go into available lines here, hit the search icon, and then you've got a full list of items then. So whether they're on back order, whether they need to be put onto receipt notes and confirmed, you've got your list of available lines there. So say for example the expected delivery date on this one was the 11th of August, that's no longer required. You can scroll across to the right and find out the order number. From that order number you can go to your purchase order, delete that off, and then go through and delete it off your sales order as well. If it is required and you need to confirm it in, highlight the line, click create notes, and then confirm your receipt notes. So if we search for outstanding receipts, you can see the list there. So rather than going into each one and confirming, you can actually click a couple, or highlight, drag and drop, and then click complete as well, and then you can confirm your notes, which will then progress it through the system. If there were an item on the receipt note that you need to delete off, you can double click into the receipt, double click the line, hit the delete icon, and then push that back into available lines then. So that would then free you up from deleting it off the purchase order and the sales order accordingly. Another thing to note as well, once you've deleted the line off the receipt note, it'll leave it outstanding, so you just need to come in and complete it as well. So if there's no lines on the receipt, just hit complete, and that'll then just remove it off the outstanding list then as well. Okay, next one, dispatch notes. So briefly on available lines, just need to make sure you've built your note. So click search, are there any items that I need to put on a dispatch note? No. So we can go straight into the statuses. So if you click the coloured bar at the top, you can amend your status to be all current, so that's whether they're in transit or outstanding, and then we can then look in the list and see why these are still in this status. So usually if they're in transit, that would mean that they've been sent out with a driver. Outstanding, not yet been pushed out yet, but either way you can use it's similar to outstanding and confirmed in sales orders in the way that it's used in the system. So say for example we go into this one, okay, so once you've opened the dispatch note, you can see KF24001. You may not no longer need that line on the dispatch note. You can delete it off. So as long as the dispatch note's in transit or outstanding, that's the latest status then of deleting it off your sales order. So once you've actually dispatched that delivery note, there's no way of actually deleting that off the sales order. It then needs to be a customer return and credit, for example. So this one's situated outside your depot as well. So another thing to note is to make sure you check out your other depots if you've got any set up as well. So performing these checks on not just the one depot, but the two of them or three, however many depots you've got. So say for example these top three lines here, we know they've been delivered, we just need to update the system, highlight the lines, click complete, and then that's then delivered then in progress. So alright, okay, so these are some manifest tests that we've been doing, so ignore that one, but you can see there one of them's updated and gone to a delivered status. Okay, just close a few of these screens down. Okay, another housekeeping check that we advise to do kind of links in with the dispatch note. So the dispatch notes, you need to make sure that your items are delivered, and that way then they're free for invoicing. If the lines then aren't showing for invoicing, you can check your company invoice profiles as well. So coming into the company module, going into companies, searching for all customers, and if we scroll to the right then, you can see their invoice profile. So if you sort on that, you can then see, well, these 7 companies here haven't got an invoice profile, so that'll be a reason as to the delivery note's been dispatched but they're not actually showing for invoicing. So if that was to be the case, you can update that in the grid manager. You can update it individually just to make sure they've got an invoice profile assigned against the company as well. There was recently a new feature added into the administration where you can set up company defaults. So say for example, when you create a new company in the system, there's certain requirements or certain defaults that are set against it that are automatically populated. So for example, in the administration you may set single invoices by sales order for every new company that's created. So that then at a default makes sure that no matter what, the company is going to be invoiced at the end of the month or as and when you do your invoicing. So that's just another check to keep an eye on. Another check for invoicing is within the sales orders. So if we go SOP and orders and then change the status to be not invoiced. So this is now telling us we've got 304 orders on the system that haven't actually yet been invoiced. So we can sort on status. We can see there's a load of orders that are allocated just need to be dispatched out. We can see there's a load of orders confirmed just need to be authorised, pushed through the system. There's items here, orders here even that are delivered. Could be the case that they're waiting available lines of the invoice and just need to go in there and create it. So using the not invoiced in sales orders is a good way to make sure that all your customers are being invoiced regardless of any problems that may be surrounding the setup. Perhaps no invoice profile set, or they've not been progressed through the system as they should be. So that's a good check to make sure that your invoicing is done at the end of the month as well. Okay, so if we go on to also customer returns, so another check for your housekeeping. Click on your coloured bar, change your status to be outstanding, search for that, and then you just make sure that all your customer returns have been completed. So you can double click into your return, ensure you've got some options set. So I wanted to return it to the supplier and credit the customer. Once you've set those and saved it, click complete, and then that's then progressed the return through the system. So as you can see, there's no actual items on this return, but if there was, you'd be returning the items to supplier and crediting the customer as well. Same again with supplier returns. So coming into here, changing your coloured bar to be outstanding, searching for free returns, and then making sure that they're progressed through the system. So you go into your return, making sure that item needs to go through. You can put your reference in. If it's a replacement item that you require, or whether it's a credit required from the supplier, you can then come into here and complete that, and that's updating then your returns and keeping your returns part of the system tidy. Okay, going on to invoicing. So we're not going to cover this in too much detail because we've done individual sessions on the invoicing as to how to make sure everything's invoiced and the checks to do with that surrounding that. So that's on the YouTube channel as well, so if you want to keep an eye out for that one. What you can do, you come into your status, searching outstanding, and making sure all these invoices are confirmed. So you can come into there, click complete, and then give them an invoice date, and making sure that they're progressed through the system. Again, available lines, you can go in there, search for all your lines, and making sure that you've created your invoice and invoiced the customer. So you can see the options here with the company profile, so that's relating to the invoice profile. So if, say for example, you know for a fact that the items have been delivered, but they're not showing in the list here, what you can do is, if you ignore any profile set, that's going to pull through absolutely every line on the system. So we don't advise doing that, but that's a way as a check to basically say, well, I know it's definitely been put through the system. I can do that, click search, and then that's then confirming that there's not a profile set against the company as well. Okay, purchase invoicing, same again, same as the sales invoices. So coming into here, changing your status to be outstanding, and then just making sure any invoices are complete and references are put in, for example. Same again with the available lines. You can go in there, make sure any manual invoices are created and put through the system as well. So in terms of housekeeping on the daily business procedure, I think that's pretty much everything in a nutshell that we wanted to go through today. For next week's session, we are going to put a poll on later on today with 2 topics, one being product management, which will include the housekeeping around discontinuing products and how to manage products in a whole in the system, and then the other topic will be purchasing from requirements. So we'll put that on the Preem Help Twitter shortly. So if you don't follow us already, or you don't know the link, we'll put that on the YouTube chat. But we'll hang around for a few minutes anyway. If you've got any questions, anything you want us to go through, please hop on and ask away. So yeah, thank you very much for your time today, and I hope you all have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.